The price of compound of the COMP token is doing pretty well. It's outperforming the rest of the altcoin market. And I believe I know the reason. I believe I know how long this rally might potentially last. Now we are currently at almost $100. We went up 16% today alone. This week we went up by 70%. And here's the disappointment. There are no real news around this. No announcements on Twitter, no announcement on any blog. But there were some positive signs for the few people that are better informed. For example, large influencers tended to buy compound. Here in our wallet tracking in the premium membership, it's the bitcointrader.com down below, we see that Bankless bought some compound, and that was on the 24th for $65. So over here roughly. It's hard to say why they bought, but whenever I see clever people that are well connected getting into something, I'm listening. Now there are positives and negatives for compound, and in this video we're going to look at both. Now one negative is potentially the total value locked. So how much capital is locked up in the protocol? Compound was one of the very first decentralized finance protocols, and in its height it had more than 12 billion locked. That then crashed down with the crypto winter and is now starting to recover. We are at 2.6 billion now. Now here's the positive though, there are different versions of compound and the recently released version is doing pretty well. Here's the total value locked of compound version 3. Now if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I like to look at demand versus supply because that in the end determines the price. And we can somewhat see that demand is stable, total value locked is increasing. What about supply though? Is there potentially token inflation hitting the market, potentially depressing the price? The answer is over here. This is token.unlocks.app and it shows the number of circulating comp tokens over time. And yes, we did have a lot of inflation in the past. The number of tokens more than doubled within 4 years. But there is an end to it. In the middle of this year, all comp tokens will be floating and we are already very, very close to maximum supply. An additional inflation of 4%. That's it. Now let me show you why inflation, token inflation is so important. What we see over here behind me is the comp token relative to Ethereum. So the relative valuation chart. We're not looking at the US dollar chart. We prefer to look at outperformance to take away correlations, to take away overall crypto market expansions and contractions. We want to know if the additional risk that's inherent to any altcoin gets compensated. And unfortunately, this was not the case for a very long time. The comp token underperformed Ethereum by 98.7%. So pretty much a perfect value destruction. But do you notice something? A lot of that underperformance happened in the beginning years, when the token inflation, relatively speaking, was very high. Then the additional supply got less and less relative to what was already floating. And so see how in the last 2 years or so, there wasn't much underperformance anymore. And if we continue to see adoption of the new protocol, while there is no more inflation, then I think it's reasonable to assume that the comp token might be outperforming Ethereum soon in the future. I think this recent rally might be just the start. And maybe very well connected insiders like Bankless knows upcoming projects for comp, which would drive further demand. And that's why they're buying in. I simply like the long-term numbers. Adoption here, no inflation there, and a price dynamic that seems to have bottomed. In an overall market, that's of course very bullish, right? Bitcoin is climbing from high to high and the altcoins follow suit. Now it's not just the total value locked that's growing. It's also the number of investors long-term, both for retail as well as for the whales. This is again part of premium, so you can get access to this tool and plug in any Ethereum token in this. And so here we see on the left side the number of wallets that have at least 10 comp tokens. So at the current price, that's roughly $1,000. That's what I'd consider retail. In the middle, we've got medium-sized retail. That's already 100 tokens, so that's now $10,000. On the right, we've got the whales. That's now $100,000 minimum holding worth of the token. 10,000 tokens. And again, these are very long-term charts and this is very long-term accumulation by everyone. Why does the long-term comp price look like this? Why did it crash so much? It's all because of inflation. But in case the investor base continues to grow while supply doesn't, then long-term I can only see the price to go in one direction. And so let's have a look how this video ages. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. There's also a free Telegram. Link is down below.